Begin assignment number 2. Number 1, which one of the following is an example of the associative property? Now, associative property, remember, you think I am associating, I'm changing who I'm associating with. Nothing should change, the order should not change, symbols should not change. So the correct answer for this one was number 3, because it's exactly the same, the left and the right hand side, except the parentheses are changing who is associating with who. Number 2, identify the property being used during each step to simplify expression. So if I look from step 1 to step 2, it looks like they took that 3 and multiplied it inside the parentheses. That is called the distributive property. Now from line 2 to 3, it looks like the only difference is we put a parentheses around this 9 and 30. So I am telling myself to associate those two together. So it's associative property. And it's addition. So of addition there. Then from my 4th line to my 5th line, it looks like I moved this minus 5x into the second spot and the plus 39 went to the end. So changing the order of things, that is commutative. And again, it was just addition. It wasn't things being multiplied. So it would be the commutative property of addition. Number 3, true or false, the following is a correct example of the distributive property. Let's check. If I was actually going to distribute this, I would get 12x. That's what they've got. But then I would get minus 30 if I distributed the 3 to the 10, not minus 7. So false. Find the value of 5xy squared if x is 2 and y is negative 3. So I'm just going to replace the x with a 2 and the y with a negative 3, and then use order of operations to evaluate. I would do my exponent first. Negative 3 squared is just 9. And then the rest is just multiplication, so I can just go left to right. So 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 9 is 90. What is the value of the expression 2x squared minus 5x plus 6 when x equals negative 2? Again, it's telling me what the variable represents, so I'm just going to plug in and then use order of operations to evaluate. So negative 2 squared is 4. Then I can do my multiplication, and there's 2 multiplications, so I'm just going to go left to right here. So 2 times 4 is 8, and then this minus 5 times a negative 2 would be plus 10 plus 6. And again, just addition left, so I'm just going to go left to right. 8 plus 10 is 18. 18 plus 6 would be 24. Choice 3. Number 6, what is the value of 3 to the negative 2nd power? You can just use your calculator, or if you remember, when you have a negative exponent, that means you flip the fraction. So it'd be 1 over, and then you can change the exponent to positive. So 1 over 3 squared, well, 3 squared is just 9, so it'd be 1 over 9, choice 1. On the back, we're going to solve some equations. And we're going to show all of our work. It is really important that we do not skip steps or try to do things in our head, because that's when we make mistakes. So number 7, we've got a couple spots where we're going to distribute. You want to take care of that first. 2x minus 12, because if negative 2 times a positive is a negative number. And then 3 times x, and 3 times that negative 7, negative 21. Then check to see if you have any like terms on each side. On my left-hand side, I have 2 whole numbers. So that would become negative 20. On my right, again, I have 2 whole numbers. So 5 would be minus 16. And then I'm just going to start moving those. I'm going to put my x's on one side, my whole numbers on the other. I'm going to move this 3x over to the left. So I get 5x. Then I'm going to add 20 to my right. 4. And you can either leave it as a fraction, 4 over negative 5, or you can use your calculator and just turn it into decimal form. Either answer is fine. In number 8, I would start by subtracting 842. I'm not going to forget about this minus 162. That minus sign still has to stay there. Just because I moved to the number in front doesn't mean that minus goes away. It just turns into a negative. So negative 616 minus 842. I now have negative 1,458. And I can just divide by the negative 162. Which is positive 9. Number 9, again, start by distributing. I get 2.5 x plus 5, and I'm only distributing those two. This part after is not part of the parentheses, so that does not get multiplied. I have like terms in this question. On my left-hand side, there are 2 x terms, and 2.5 minus 1.5 is just 1. And then I'm going to move the whole number over to the other one. And 1x is the same as just x, so I can just leave that as x equals 1. Number 10, I'm going to cross multiply. And I'm going to make sure there are 2 terms up here. Both of them are going to get multiplied by the 2. So 2x plus 8 equals both of these x minus 9x. Now, I've got a couple like terms over on this right-hand side, so I'm going to combine them. 7x minus 9x is a negative 2x. X term over to the right-hand side by subtraction because it's a positive. So subtract 2x. We get 8 equals negative 4x, and then divide by negative 4. So x equals negative 2. Number 11, nothing to distribute, no parentheses, so I'm going to skip right to some combining my like terms. On the left, there are 2 whole numbers. 7 minus 10 is negative 3. And there are 2 x values. Positive 5 plus 2 would be positive 7x. Move my whole number so that it's with the other whole number on the right. And then divide by 7. So x equals 6. All right, one thing you can do with this one, if you wanted to, you could change things to decimals, or remember, when everything is a fraction, you can find a common denominator. But first, you never want to have parentheses before you do that. So first, I am going to actually distribute. And when you multiply fractions, you just multiply numerators times numerators and denominators times denominators. So I'm going to start by distributing here. So 1 times 1, 2 times 4, plus 1 times 20, 2 times 2. All right, so I got rid of my parentheses. Now, if I find a common denominator here, and multiply my fractions so that every fraction has the same denominator, you can actually eliminate the denominator, and then you've eliminated the fractions. So 8, 4, and 4, they can all go into 8. So this first fraction, I wouldn't change. This second fraction, though, I would multiply everything by 2 so that the denominator becomes 8. And the same thing with this one because it has the same denominator. So if I changed that, again, first fraction was already 8, so I'm not going to change that one. This would become 40 over 8, and this would become 6 over 8. Now that the denominators all match, eliminate them. Just use the numerators. And you can reduce that to 1 over 8, or you can change it to a fraction or a decimal, which would be 0.12.